I can't see my indicator.
Just kidding. Alrighty, what is up, everybody? I'm Kyle.
And I'm Dallin.
This is Dallin. This is gonna be our first time trying this YouTube. We're gonna see how this works. So, right now we decided we're gonna try doing a truck talk. Kind of just talk about like some good memories we've had fishing, what got us into fishing, and just stuff like that we've both enjoyed. So, I guess I'll ask Dallin the first question. So what really got you into fishing?
So I've always really liked just being outside and just being in the outdoors. I grew up on a dairy farm, and so we didn't have like a ton of outside, like out in nature kind of time. We were always outside, but we weren't doing, we weren't fishing or hunting or, hiking a whole lot. We were really busy all the time. So I really cherished those moments where we did get to go fishing, and I've always really liked it. And my dad, influences that a lot, to where he likes to bass fish quite a bit. And so he would take us fishing quite often, and we still go fishing with my old man quite a bit. But I've always just really liked it, and it's kind of progressed these last couple years to where, like, instead of just liking it, now I'm like obsessed with it. Like I think about fishing all the time. If I'm at work and there's something on my mind, it's usually fishing, or it's got to be fishing related. If you ask me at pretty much any point in time, what are you thinking about right now? And it's usually, I'm thinking about fishing. I'm thinking about a fishing hole. I'm thinking, a place I want to go, what I'm going to use. Like, that is what's always constantly on my mind is just fishing. So, but yeah, in the last couple of years, especially with fly fishing, I've really kind of just become obsessed with it. But how about you, Kyle? How did you get into fishing?
Dude, I love that. Kind of the same. I grew up, so actually where we're headed, we're going up to a place that my family has been for years. And I fell in love with fly fishing kind of at a young age. I didn't really know how to do it, right? Because when you're a kid, most of the time, like, I love my old man, but he'd just give me the spinner rod, because that's how I knew how to use it, or like one with a button. We always have an inside joke with our family that, like, the Spider-Man rod is what we used, or like we had this old Mickey Mouse one that just. I grew up because my grandpa loved fishing, and he loved fly fishing. We'd come up here and just, that's all we want to do is just fish, and then we go up to Yellowstone and explore. And every time, I just kind of fell in love with it, like that feeling of catching something. And I'm kind of the same way. Within the last few years, I kind of switched over because I felt, like I said, growing up with spinner rods, I always use spinner rods or the buttons, like a Zebco 33.
Oh, yeah.
But now, recently, it's been fly fishing. Like, it is such an addiction. I fell in love with fly fishing and the way that it feels with that way. Because, like, it's just so different. And so I'll still use a spinner, but fly fishing is the way to do it. So
yeah. And it's almost got to the point I don't even want to use a spinning rod.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't want to.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going fishing, I'm going to use my fly rod. I don't even want to use the spinning rod.
Yeah.
I will, if that's what we have at the time, or if that's going to be the best way to catch. But I just got to the point where I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I would rather fly fish.
Yeah.
So.
And I remember, like, there was times we went, like, last year, you remember going out bass fishing? You're like, dude, let's whip out the fly rod, see if we catch a bass on a fly rod. Like, it's just a different feeling.
And my largest bass to date on a fly rod is a little smaller than my thumb. So, but
hey, that's something.
Was fun.
That's something.
That's a
awesome.
whole lot of fun.
So, with that being said, like, I know we do a lot of fly fishing is what we said, but, like, what would you try, like, different techniques for bass fishing or anything with the fly rod to try to catch different fish besides trout? Because we're from Idaho. We have a lot of trout up here.
Yep.
So, I don't know.
So,
what do you think? What's your thoughts?
That's a good question. And everything that I've kind of thought about with fly fishing for bass is, when you're using like a bait caster, there's something a little different about using top water. Like, everyone just loves top water explosion. The bass comes up and hits it. And, I think that that's very possible to do with fly fishing, but I think it's going to be, and I really don't know, because like I said, I I haven't fly fished for bass a whole lot,
That's fair.
but I really think that your shiners, or like your streamers that look like little leeches or shiners, would probably do just a little bit better, because they imitate more of like your Senkos and your subsurface flies, or your subsurface bait. I've seen a lot of poppers, and I've got some, and I'd really like to try them, but I haven't tried them yet. And like I said, I really don't know, because I haven't used them. But I think if I was to have like a go-to bass setup with the fly rod, is I'd have a olive green streamer of some sort. Whether it's a woolly bugger or, anything, a leech, like really anything that's going to be olive green and kind of imitate what the Senko would do, or like a little bluegill or minnow, or even crawdads. I've seen a few crawdads flies tied, and maybe when we get into fly tying just a little bit more, we'll tie some crawdads.
Yeah.
But
because like where we've gone fishing too, there's definitely like we've pulled smallies with crawdads in their mouth. So
yep.
Oh, that's awesome. So that ties in the next question, man. With fishing, we know we love fishing. Kind of introduce ourselves. What's like your favorite fishing memory?
So I have a couple. So my most recent favorite fishing memory is I took my dad fly fishing. My dad has never liked fly fishing. Like, he's tried it a few times, and he's never been a huge fan. But I told him, Dad, you really got to try this. This is a lot of fun. You got to try this. And he hemmed and hawed, and okay, that'll be fine. And I told him, I'm like, well, where we're going to catch fish. There's no question. If we catch fish, just be warned, they're not going to be like huge fish. They're just going to be fingerlings, or just, shorter. Like, the biggest one we're going to catch is going to be maybe 12 inches. And he said, okay, whatever. So we're fishing, and I'm using this purple, I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it looks like a Frenchie, except it's purple. It's like a purple Frenchie, or a purple Perdigon fly. And we're sitting there, and I'm watching my indicator float down, and it disappears clear at the far end of the bridge. And this bridge we're fishing at, it's probably 20 feet wide, and it disappears clear out at the end of the bridge. And I set the hook, and that fish just took off. And in my mind, I went, oh crap, this is not a fingerling, this is not a small fish, this is a big fish. And so I started to panic, because I'm using a 5X tippet where I usually use 4X, and I just, this is a big fish, I don't want to lose it, and so I'm playing this fish, and my dad's like, what are you doing? You just reel him in. And I can't, Dad, I gotta fight him and get him tired. And I finally got him to where I could see him, and I just saw his head come up with the flash of orange or red underneath his throat, and all the hair on my back and neck stood up, and this is a cutthroat. Like, this isn't, and like, you don't catch a lot of cutthroat where we're going. And I'm excited. This is great. So now I'm really determined to not get him off the fly, and I finally get him in, and we might post a picture in the show notes, or we might link one right here. But it ended up being a 21-inch cutthroat trout, native wild cutthroat trout. And that's my biggest cutthroat trout I've caught since, like before and since. And so that's my most recent favorite fly fishing memory. And, growing up, there'd be a lot of Dad would get stuck in the mud, or the girls get pushed in the water. I have 3 sisters, and one of them would get pushed in the water. And so, but that's my most recent favorite fly fishing memory. And that's something that I get to, and it's kind of special, because the only people on the river were me and my dad. And there was people walking across the bridge, and we were hooting and hollering and how just excited. And that is kind of a special moment to share with just my dad and I.
I feel like is rare. Like, a lot of the time you try to go out to the river, and you're like super excited, and you're with your old man, and freaking
And there's a million people
everyone.
there.
Yeah, everyone and their dog is out there.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's
and like I
awesome.
said earlier, we've got the dairy farm. Dad still farms. I'm up at school going to college, and so he really doesn't have time, but he made time to come with me, and that. So that in itself is important to me, but then to be able to catch such an awesome fish with him just made that experience just so much sweeter.
That's
So
awesome. I love
But-
that.
what about you? What's your favorite?
Same kind of story. I mean, not as cool as the Cutthroat. I wish it was, but it's one of our favorite spots up here, up in Idaho. We were up going and we were up camping, and it's kind of the same thing. Me and my dad were like, yo, let's go fishing because it's something we can bond over. And we ended up going out to one of our favorite holes called Coffee Pot. This is before you had to hike all your way up into it, so it was just perfect. Weather was perfect, nice, a little bit of cloud cover, but not raining, super warm still, about 60, 65. And me and my old man decided we're gonna go out to this spot, and we hiked down because it's about a little quarter of a mile downhill. And I love the spot, except for coming back up, it's always the worst. So
Well, hiking back up is never good.
right.
Makes a quarter mile feel like a mile.
Yeah. And we were down, and we got down to the river. We noticed one of the docks from up the river came unloose. You know how people latch them in, chain them in.
Came unlatched.
Came unlatched, and it floated down. And so when we were sitting there, my dad's like, yo, let's go sit on this dock. Instead of wading in the river, let's just go see, try to whip out some flies, throw some worms over, because we both had our fly rods and spinners, just because that's what I like to do. I like to pack a little bit, have both options. If I get tired of one, I'll go to the other, or vice versa. But we ended up fishing this hole for probably like 4, 5, 6 hours, and it was just instant catch and release. And they weren't nothing crazy. There was a lot of like 12-inch to 18-inch, so nothing too, like ooh, ah. But it was just one of my favorite stories because it's something like you shared, like just, the opportunities never really come anymore because I got college. I'm in college as well, and my dad's working. And so it was something I know I was personally grateful for, and I enjoyed every minute of it. And the best part of it, like the whole thing, was every cast, just slaying them, just hooking, and it was awesome. So.
Oh, that's good. And I fished with his old man, and so he ain't kidding when he says that they get to go do that. He's quite the fisherman, and I really like fishing with his old man. He's kind of a punk. He'll give you a hard time, but he also, you can give him a hard time too. So
Yeah.
But
yeah, dude, that's hype. Next question. All right. So let me try to show the camera a little bit. We're dealing with weather-wise. All right. A little gloomy. It's supposed to be rainy. This ties into our next question. What do you think would be a good, go-to fly in not the best weather conditions? Like, what's your chase? What's your favorite fly to use in rain, or if it's snowing a little bit? What's your go-to?
so it really depends on the season. And so right now we're in the beginning of April.
Yep.
And so the rain, top water, with dry flies, usually isn't, quite as good right now as it will be in the upcoming weeks and months. So if it rains right now, my plan today is to use a red San Juan worm with a red tungsten bead. And then about 18 inches down from that, I'm going to tie it's going to be a nymph dropper. I'm going to tie on either a salmon egg or a copper-headed, either a copper john or a copper-headed Frenchie, something with a copper bead, because the fish up here seem to do a really good, especially in this type of gloomy weather. They seem to hone in on that, any type of reflection. And so it doesn't need to have to necessarily be copper,
Yeah.
but something that's shiny enough that it'll get their attention, because the trout's spectrum of colors that they can see is different than what we can see. And so they might not necessarily always be going off of, oh, that bug's too shiny, like I'm not going to eat him. It's probably going to be more of, there's like the flash of light off of that copper bead, or just that smooth flashy bead, is going to set apart that nymph just enough to where they kind of focus on it a little bit more and eat that one instead. Because there's not going to be a whole lot of light, but any light that does reflect off the water is going to catch that bead, and it'll make it just enough difference to where they'll hone in on it, and that's the one they're going to hit. And the red San Juan worm that's kind of the purpose of what my idea of using this red San Juan worm is that it's a red color, and they can see red really well, and they'll hone in on it, and they might not hit the San Juan worm, but right behind it's going to be that copper john, or that copper beaded nymph. And so they're already in line for that perfect strike. And so anything that's really just going to get their attention in these in the gloomy weather, and you can use that, really anytime. It doesn't have to be gloomy weather fishing only, but that's kind of my go-to setup in less than ideal conditions.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I've used that setup, like you were saying, in like winter, snow on the ground.
Yep.
The only thing that's not frozen is the river because it's moving, right? I've used that same setup, and it's done great because, like you were saying, it just draws that attraction. And everyone knows, like, winter with trout, it usually slows them down. They're not as explosive or as angry or going to chase because they got to save that energy. But it works great in every condition. So I like that. I kind of copy you a little bit. The difference, I'm not using San Juan as my go-to for this question. I like using a squirrely wormy. Everyone makes fun of it. I like it this time of year because they'll chase a worm. They love that, and so that's kind of my go-to. And I usually like using like a bright pink with an orange bead, or just bright colors to kind of do the same idea like you were saying with the attractant, bringing that in. And then I usually do about same on the tip at about 18 inch. And then I like to tie on either like a heavier nymph, like a copper john does good with the bigger head, or salmon eggs, because they'll chase those if you have one with a silver bead. So I think that question's a good question. I like it because it's like, what can you do, because like, for instance, we both work most of the days, and I feel like the days that I have off and have the chance to go fish, it's always the worst weather. So I think it's a common good question that a lot of people have. And so I like that, dude. Thanks.
Well, and then come later in the summer, I like using a hopper dropper, because then... Yeah, because the rain's going to be moving the grass around and knocking the grasshoppers are going to be flying, around the grass, because the grass is being pushed around, and the rain's going to knock them out of the air and onto the water. And so you're going to see a lot more hoppers on the water. And then if they don't really feel like hitting the hopper, well, you've got that nymph dropper underneath it, and your hopper just becomes an indicator. And so it really works, clear up until you get two fish on it at the same time. All of a sudden you have two 8-inch fish, and you think that you have an 18-inch fish on, and then you reel them in and you just have two little guys. But that's only happened to me once.
That's awesome.
It's happened to me once. And I was with Hannah. Hannah's my wife. And I was with Hannah. This was when we just first started dating. And I went, oh, this is a bigger fish. This is a good one. And I reeled it in, and she says, that's not a big fish. There's two small ones. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, I like the hopper dropper combination, but those are my two. Just kind of depends on, like I said, the season. And if it's really snowing, I go streamer, because if you can get a streamer, because like you were saying, the fish, they really like to conserve their energy, and even in the summertime, they're lazy fish. But come wintertime, they're really, really trying to conserve their energy. And so if you can get a streamer right in front of their nose to where they'll hit it without having to move a whole lot, you can get some big fish on a streamer in the wintertime when it. We just got
hit
to
the
our
spot, yeah.
fishing spot, so we're gonna dive in real quick and see if we can catch us a fish or two before it gets dark. We're about an hour behind what we want to be, but we're gonna try it out and see what we can do.
Stay tuned for some more.
Oh, I've been waiting for this. Oh boy, I've been waiting for this.
Gobble, gobble, gobble.
Attaboy.
Ooh! Did you see that?
I did.
Kale, tie on the red one. Yep, I've tried orange, red, pink. And the red, that was instant. Yeah. Woo-hoo-hoo!
Oh yeah, he's a good one.
Look at that pickle.
What up, Rudy? Nice.
Gotta show the fans. Just kidding.
All zero of them so far?
What?
Nothing?
Nothing?
I said all zero of them so far?
Yes.
First cast on red, huh?
Do a red salmon egg.
I don't think I've got red.
Well,
Let me see if I've got red.
you're in luck, sir. I'm all tangled up though. Yeah, that literally was first cast, let it float down. Because I tried every color. I was like, okay, we're going to start with the orange because that worked last time. And then we went to pink. And then we went to like the bright orange I have. And then I was like, I'm going to tie on a red. Best part of it all, I tied that. That was my work.
This is probably one of the biggest brookies I've ever caught.
Bring her over here. Holy
Look at
mama.
that toad.
That thing is a pickle.
Isn't that thing freaking
That thing
huge?
is huge for a brook trout. Oh, holding up. Let's see him.
Holy smoke, dude.
That's beautiful, dude. That's awesome.